With this WVLI News Update, I'm Rob West, back with a look at today's news right after this.
Stay connected to your community, even on the go. The WVLI Podcast Network brings you 3 great local shows. The WVLI News Update keeps you informed. Kankakee Valley Community Happenings gets you ready for the weekend. And This One Time in Kankakee shares the incredible stories of our area. Find the WVLI Podcast Network wherever you get your podcasts or at WVLI927.com. The voices you trust beyond the dial.
Indiana Governor Mike Braun says he expects to make a statewide emergency declaration after severe weather caused widespread damage and power outages in that state. Braun said Wednesday the National Guard is on standby to help recovery efforts if needed. Nearly 95% of Lake County, Indiana, lost power after Tuesday's storms, while flooding and long lines at gas stations have caused problems across northwest Indiana. Braun says that he's also been in contact with officials as crews work to restore power and clean up damage. The Northern Indiana Public Service Company, or NIPSCO, says they still have tens of thousands of customers without power across northwest Indiana. Power slowly being restored to ComEd customers in Illinois. As of this morning, ComEd said there were some 4,000 customers in our listening area still without power. That's down from about 15,000 at the height of the storm. Illinois State Police say a crash near Clifton Wednesday morning shut down the southbound lanes of I-57 for a time. According to reports, it was about 10:15 yesterday morning. They say a semi rolled over, causing the closure of multiple lanes and ramps for a time. Troopers say the driver of the semi was injured in the crash and taken to the hospital. Cause of the crash under investigation. During Wednesday morning's Kankakee County Board Criminal Justice Committee meeting, County Sheriff Mike Downey had some good news for the committee when it comes to the amount of money Kankakee County gets for housing federal prisoners.
Over the past probably 2 years now, I have submitted a request for a rate increase for the housing of our U.S. Marshals. The rate right now is $90 per day per inmate, with a transportation reimbursement of $42 an hour per officer. Effective August 1st, 12 days ago, has increased to $116 a day and $55 an hour for officer transports.
Sheriff Downey says the increase should mean an extra $1 million federal dollars coming into the county by the end of the fiscal year. Money, he says, helps to offset the costs local taxpayers have to pay for housing local prisoners. Testimony continues today in the murder trial of Xandria Harris. Harris is on trial for her part in the December 29, 2021 shooting death of Bradley Police Sergeant Marlene Ripmanick and wounding of her then-partner, Officer Tyler Bailey. During Wednesday afternoon's session, prosecutors called Illinois State Police Special Agent Alyssa Bufford. After the shooting, Bufford was given the task of gathering all of the evidence from all the police agencies involved in the case. Prosecutors entered evidence that included firearms found in the house in North Manchester, Indiana, where Harris and her then-boyfriend Darius Sullivan fled following the shooting. Harris's defense attorney, Sierra Norris, objected to the firearms being admitted as evidence, saying that just because firearms were in the home where Harris stayed didn't mean that she knew they were there. Judge Kathy Bradshaw Elliott allowed them to be entered as evidence in the case. Harris's trial is expected to run through next Friday, the 21st. Rensselaer police reporting the arrest of a woman after her child was found walking alone along a heavily traveled roadway. In a Facebook post, Rensselaer police say it was late last month. Officers were called to a gas station on South College Avenue by a person who had taken the child there for safety. Law enforcement say they were able to find that the child lived at a home in the 600 block of South Dean's Place, and when they went to the home, they spoke to 33-year-old Kayla Hoax, who told them the child had been in a tent in the backyard. Rensselaer police say they turned the investigation over to the Indiana Department of Children's Services, and they arrested Hoax on Tuesday for neglect of a dependent. 2026 Illinois State Fair kicks off today in Springfield. Governor J.B. Pritzker and other officials unveiled the treasured butter cow yesterday at the dairy building at the fairgrounds.
This butter cow is, well, the unveiling is, of course, a perfect way to lead us into this state fair. But it's also a symbol of so much about Illinois' agriculture economy.
Fair runs through August 23rd. And that secret food pantry mobile pop-up event normally scheduled for today in the village of Bourbonnais has been canceled. Organizers of the event say the pantry had to be canceled because of issues caused by the power outages early this week. National Weather Service has confirmed 5 tornadoes hit northern Illinois earlier this week. The Weather Service says that includes 1 EF0 tornado, 3 EF1 tornadoes, and 1 EF2. One of the EF1 tornadoes hit Wilmington with peak winds of about 90 miles an hour, while the EF2 ran in a line from Monee to St. John, peak winds of about 115 miles an hour. Weather Service says, in addition to the tornadoes, there was widespread damage from straight-line winds throughout southern Cook and eastern Will counties in Illinois, as well as much of Lake, Porter, and northern Newton and Jasper counties in Indiana. They say it looks like the peak winds were nearing 100 miles an hour across southern Cook and eastern Will County into Lake and Porter counties in Indiana. Weather Service says they'll continue to assess damage over the next several days. During Wednesday morning's Kankakee County Board Criminal Justice Committee meeting, Animal Control Director Carrie Laird told the committee the number of reported bite cases is up significantly this year.
A lot of those are bats that have been in people's residences and they've had exposure to them. So we've had, I think, three positive bats already so far this year. Last year we had 0 for the entire year. So if there's a bat in your residence, please call Animal Control. We will come out and get that. Laird
added the number of wildlife euthanasias are up this year as well, but added that most of those are bats that needed to be sent off for rabies testing. A winning ticket in Wednesday night's $1 billion Powerball drawing was sold in Illinois. Mark Mayfield has more.
The massive jackpot has a cash value of more than $450 million. It's the largest Powerball prize won so far this year and the 8th largest in the game's history. I'm Mark Mayfield.
In sports, Sox, Cubs, and Cards all winners yesterday. The Sox beat the Reds 5-0 in Chicago, while the Cubs beat the Nationals 12-6. Cards beat the Phillies 7-1. Cubs wrap up their series at the Nationals this afternoon. The Sox go for the series win against the Reds. The Cards have the day off. Chicago Sky lost 91-71 to the Valkyries last night. Sky visit the Storm on Saturday. Chicago Fire FC take on Cruz Azul tonight in League's Cup group play. And Week 1 of the NFL preseason is here. 6 games on the slate tonight. Bears host the Browns on Saturday. That is a check of news and sports on this Thursday. Have a good rest of your day. Be safe, everybody. I'm Rob West.
In honor of my grandfather, Franklin Weber's recent passing, we're revisiting the pilot episode of This One Time in Kankakee.
This one time in Kankakee, I was run over with a tractor.
Featuring unreleased audio and new details, it's the story of a father's sacrifice that brought my grandfather 93 beautiful years. Listen now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.